This episode may contain language or discussions that may be offensive or triggering. Refer to the episode summary for details.
Oh, welcome to She.Confidential podcast. I'm Charlene Ketchum, and for those of you who've been watching, you will recognize these two beautiful faces with me today. I've got Miss Tanita with When Home Feels Like Magic and Miss Jackie with Mirrored Vision Coaching, and we are going to talk about joy. So we have been getting ready to record this episode for about 3 hours now, and and so there were so many. We were having girl talk because I love these two ladies. They are authentic and just amazing, and we had to catch up. We had a lot of catching up to do because we haven't had girl time in a long time because they both have been launching their businesses. And we're going to talk about what both of them have been up to and how they can help you elevate your life. But we were doing a lot of talking about just being Black women, trying to balance dealing with grief over dreams that we had or dreams that are in front of us and not knowing how to reach them, how to accept them, how to deal with other people who don't embrace them, how to live in this world, how to embrace luxury when that's not something we're comfortable with or used to, or people around us aren't comfortable or used to it. Just dealing with all this discomfort with the new and reconciling that with wounds and all this stuff. So we were coaching each other for about 2 hours, but it came down to encouraging each other to embrace our joy because that's something we really struggle with as Black women. Just identifying what makes us happy and accepting that we deserve to be happy. So we're going to talk about joy, how you can overcome all those barriers and blocks that are keeping you from really absorbing and living in your joy. So, ladies, thank you for joining me again.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
Such a good time always with you, Shirley.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Jackie.
So, joy, joy, joy. I think to start by exploring that, we can talk about what you both do in your practices. So Tanita does a lot of work to help women cleanse and embrace and really expand their spiritual nexus.
Yes.
I don't know if that's how you would describe it,
That's
but
actually perfect.
that's how I see it. And Jackie is also working on our other spiritual nexus because she's helping us connect with our womb and with our sexuality and sensuality. And so that's all connected and that's all central part of tapping into our joy. And so I want to talk a little bit about what both of you do and its role and really like first, why do Black women have such a hard time with embracing joy? See, that's so heavy. For those who are listening and not watching, that one was so heavy. They both like took a collective sigh. Like when you both watch this later, I want you to see you both were like, "Oh shit." that was the sigh for both of you.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. That is definitely um a heavy topic, but it's very telling because I think we don't operate in joy for much of our day, of our lives, that when we are given an opportunity to be free, when we're given an opportunity to be at ease and to flow, we don't know how to accept it. We don't know how to embrace it because it's more foreign than it is common. And thinking about myself, like to get to my point of joy, I I'm single. I don't have someone, I'm not in a relationship. I don't have children. Um, and I always say like I'm selfishly choosing me. And I think so many women, Black women, don't know how to choose themselves. And to find what makes them them outside of the roles that have been, that they either were assigned or that they took on, being a wife, being a mother, being a, working, going to church or faith, or their faith practice, what have you. They're not choosing their happiness for themselves, they're choosing it for the people around them. And I am like, well, since I don't have those other roles or responsibilities or hats that I have to wear, I can choose me and say, I don't have to do this because it's not in alignment with me. It's not going to elevate me. It's not going to make me feel like I matter. When I can say I choose to surround myself with persons, places, or things that are going to align with me and are not going to put a burden on me, that's my joy. That's my joy. And for someone who's single like me, that may resonate because we have the freedom and the flexibility to do what works for us. And not to say that my married sisters can't, or those that are in relationships or partnerships can't, but for those of us that don't, our joy doesn't have to be, I think Tanita's going to say this later, but she said this earlier. She's not tying her, I don't have to tie my happiness or my joy to external things or to other people, other places. And I think all of us have to get to a point where we can choose joy without having to attach it to something that we don't have to attach it. And I'm pretty sure Tia is going to expound on that. But I really resonated with me earlier because I was like, a lot of my friends, Black women who they do attach whether or not they go on vacation and experience rest to what other people's pockets dictate whether they can or cannot go, or their own feelings about taking a luxury vacation. Like, if you don't go, you don't go, but I'm still gonna go.
Right.
So yeah.
And you know what, Jackie, you're so right. I am going to expound on that because this is why I love coming on here. I am married. I do have kids. I have 4 kids. We are a blended family, and it goes like this: 13, 14, 15, 19, right? So we have a lot going on. And I think what got me to this point, and the thing is, I am happily married. I am a happy mother. But what I had to go through to get to this place of inner joy and just, I expect great things in my life every day. What I had to go through to get to that is just being like, okay, I realize these roles that I'm playing, but who am I? What brings me satisfaction and joy? Because I matter. And to be quite frank, that whole saying about if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, it's really a shadow worked saying, right? It's saying like, if your center, if your inner being is not happy, ain't nobody happy. There is no happiness that can touch you, right? And so as it pertains to like having those things, having that family, and my thing is, it's the same formula, right? You have to selfishly choose you. You have to selfishly choose you. So when my kid said, oh, I want to be on the track team, oh, I want to do this, oh, I want to do that, I had to consider, like, is that something I can fit into the schedule of when I was working outside of the home? Is that something I can fit into the schedule? Is that something that I can afford to do right now without compromising who I am, what I am, how much energy I have, okay, and what brings me joy. And so for a long time, I said, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that. I can't afford to do that right now because it will put too much stress on all of us. And I think a lot of times we try so hard to please our children and to give our children what we never had. And to be honest, there is nothing wrong with not having. There's nothing wrong with not having, because eventually you grow, you evolve through that, and then you can have. And then you can have. But if you try to preemptively get something or do something or be something that you have not prepared for, that you have not created a dynamic that supports that, you will not have access to it in the way that you wanted to. You will not be able to take your kid to that track team in a way that you wanted to, with a supportive attitude. You'll be like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this, right? Whereas now, I don't work outside of my home. I set my life up the way I wanted it. You know what I mean? I have time with my husband. I have time with my children. I can say yes to them. Now they're on the track team. They're on the basketball team. They have jobs. They have jobs. Luckily, they got one at the same place, right? But they have jobs. You know, they have, I even have them send me a grocery list. What do you guys want this week? So it's just like I had to work all of those things into a convenient pattern that worked for me, because I am responsible. This is how my consideration of them affects me. I am responsible for showing them what it is to be my greatest self. Yeah. To be my greatest self. To be my greatest self. So when they ask me those questions like, well, Mom, you know, why do you like having a family? I can answer truthfully because I set it up the way that brings me joy. I don't have to wake up and be cranky with you. I don't have to. Now, I sometimes choose to, whatever. But it's not your responsibility to make me happy. It's my responsibility, right? Because sometimes, I ain't gonna lie, I'm not dropping any curse words on this one, but I wake up in a mood, okay? I wake up in a mood. But ultimately, my joy, my happiness with my husband is my own. What makes me happy about him doesn't necessarily make him happy about me. I'm okay with that. So what? You know what I mean? Like, I want a hug. Give me a hug. You don't have to like hugs. I like hugs. You know? But it's the same. It really is. And sometimes it seems harder. But the fact of the matter is that it's not actually harder. It's just, are you going to choose it? Are you going to choose joy? Are you going to choose that? Selfishly choose you. To all those listening, selfishly choose you. Set your life up in a way that is joyful to you. And all the rest follows. All of it. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and you hit on so many things there, because the first thing I really want people to understand is it seems selfish when you do that, but ultimately it's for the greater good. Because I see a lot of moms who have their kids in all these activities because their kids want to do all this stuff. You know, they've got obligations to family and friends. They have these high powered jobs, you know, so they do all the activities and running around with the kids, and they got to come home and finish up work. Then they got to do laundry. Then they got to cook. Then they got to clean up. Then they got to have sex with their partner, you know. Then they got to try to figure out, you know, what they need to do for themselves, but they're too exhausted really to do anything for themselves at that point. And they're frustrated. And you know what? That frustration spills over. That's when you're going to be short a lot more with your kids. That's when you're going to be resentful of having to do these things. At some point, you're going to start being resentful. That's when you're going to start saying to your partner, I'm not feeling having sex with you because I'm having to do everything on my own. And what I observe, and this is as someone with no children, no spouse, a lot of women have a disproportionate burden in the household because that's how they set it up. Yeah. It's like from day one, women, we automatically shoulder everything and say, well, if mama doesn't do it, it's not going to get done. But part of that is because mama is not telling daddy or whoever the partner in the house is that, look, we need to come up with a plan because I ain't gonna be broke down behind this.
That part.
And we don't do that. And so we end up with this suffering, internal suffering that spills over. So it may seem like it's selfish, but in silently suffering, you're actually going to make it worse for everybody at some point.
Yes. Way worse. And it's so funny you said that. So Steve is my husband. I remember he was just like, when we first really realized, like, okay, this is a thing, like we together, right? He was just like, okay, here are some things that I do and don't do. And he gave me a list, and I was just like, he was like, okay, what about you? And I was like, what do you mean, what about me? Because in no other relationship would they have they said that. And I was just like, oh, well, if I'm being honest, I'm not doing this, this, and this. And like, I do like to cook, so I don't mind cooking every day, but I'm only cooking dinner. And this and this and this. I like doing laundry. I do not like doing the dishes. I'm probably never going to do them. If you like your kitchen clean, you better clean it.
So he initiated the conversation
Yes.
on preferences.
Yes, girl. Yes.
And you had this happen?
I love that.
Because the thing is like, and I think I said this in a last podcast we were in together. He was just like, because we don't have to be a match. We don't have to be a match. We don't have to. We could just have a good time. We don't have to match up. But you don't get to that point until you're willing to be fully honest. And I was just like, I could never do a dish again. Ever. Ever in life. I will do laundry all day. I will even sweep. Dusting, dishes, not my thing. As you can see, I'm gonna sit on my wall. That's not my thing.
I love that you say that though, because it makes me think of something like it's come up in the context several times on the show related to dating. Like we had the episode with Yolanda Kelly, the matchmaker. And I think Olivia Baylor even said that when we talked about ditching dating drama and everything. But we have to be really clear about our relationship preferences, or just not even like what you just said was the key. And Yolanda said this: mingle with people just for the sake of getting to know them. Everything doesn't have to be done with this ultimate goal of forever after. And so when you just mingle with them to just for the purpose of enjoying them, getting to know them, and you can be clear about what your goals are. If you're looking for a partner, you can say that, but you need to be real about what your preferences are.
Yes.
And both of them said that what happens a lot of times in relationships, we don't do that. We don't want to do that because we feel like we're dating. So we're on our best behavior. So you were honest and said, look, I ain't gonna be doing these dishes. But a lot of times it's like, oh, I'm gonna clean everything and I'm gonna put it in the dishwasher. I'm gonna hand wash them and put them in the dishwasher because I want this person to see I'm so clean and I'm so attentive. But then when you get together, it's like, yeah, I don't really like doing dishes. Well, then that person feels tricked, and then you might find out that they don't like doing dishes either.
Right.
Now you kind of got a problem because who's gonna do the dishes? Because you act like you were like super into it.
It's like finding out Santa Claus ain't real. What? Okay. Yes.
And I think that maybe like in that type of context, I think not so much about joy, but I think in being authentic, where we put on a mask or we put on a show to fit what other people think that we should be or be like, or we want to fit someone else's expectations, that we lose sight of who we are, and we don't know how to tap into our joy because we have taken on someone else's satisfaction, happiness, desire that we can only equate what that is by what other people, like what we've taken on from other people. And learning to be selfish with ourselves and the decisions that we make, I think ultimately will lead it back to being able to find your joy. Because when you do that, when you're selfish with, you know, I like, you know, this is my time, this is what you can say, I'm selfishly going to choose me, and in order for me to be the best person I can be, whether you like it or not, this is what it is. And I can go on or go on
Right.
without you.
I have to look up the definition
You
of
can.
selfish because
Oh, I love
I am
definitions.
curious.
Do it.
I don't
Yes.
know. What is it? The definition? Okay, we got to stop using that word. Okay, so the
Mm,
definition of selfish is lacking consideration for others, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. So I don't think that the word selfish is applicable in this when we start talking about prioritizing our needs and self care, because
Huh.
I believe that when we take care of ourselves, that's what enables us to care for others. So yes, although we are concerned chiefly with our personal profit or pleasure, is and well, you know what? I even take issue with that because I don't know that it's personal profit or pleasure. It's about just taking care of yourself.
Yes.
This isn't a what can I get out of it. It's
You
not
know
a
it's
motive. This
so
is my motive is not that I'm lacking consideration for you. Is that I'm
right.
prioritizing
Rising consideration
consideration
for
for
myself.
myself.
You know, it's crazy
that's a
because
good
they
point.
have selfless, which is honored, right?
Hmm.
Self,
Let me look up that
which
definition.
right, they have selfless, they have self-sacrificing. All of these things are venerated, like they're like, oh yes, when you sacrifice yourself, yourself, and it's just like, but when we do that, we are now at the end of that era. We are done
Hmm.
sacrificing ourselves. So to have a definition like that attached to selfish, to me, I'm just like, what you trying to say? Like, hold up, I'm feeling a little bamboozled here. Okay, like,
That's,
so at what
yeah,
point does my self prioritization become a problem
Come
for
into play.
society?
it's all in how we frame it. And so, like
Yeah,
selfless, that is concerned more with the needs and wishes of others than one's own. But what I want to compare here, though, is this one isn't even framed in the negative light that selfish was. This one is just
right,
concerned more with the needs and wishes of others than one's own, the opposite of selfish. Whereas we're saying that selfish is lacking consideration for others. Just
interesting,
because I'm
Mm,
prioritizing my own self care doesn't mean I'm lacking consideration for others.
right,
And I
right.
think that that's why this whole selfish thing is just really you can want to take care, prioritize self care without lacking consideration for other people. Because again, we always say you can't pour from an empty cup. I can't
Hmm.
put your oxygen mask on before mine because if I do that, the odds are I'm going to pass out before I get yours on. So that's why that's not wise to
Hmm.
do. So this entire concept of selfish is a manipulative tool, really, because the people,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know the history of like who came up with everything in the dictionary, but I'm really interested in just looking at words and how we get socialized by them and
yes,
conditioned by them, and particularly as it relates to women, because the last thing you want to be is a selfish mother. Who wants to be that mom? It's just, I mean, for real. It's like, oh,
Mm,
she's selfish and she's a mom.
right,
But and I think it's important to really think about that because when we encourage each other and try to empower each other, like some words just have such bad connotations
they do,
and everything, it's going to put up a barrier that we could have just avoided. Whereas if we're saying, I want you to learn like how to prioritize self-care, self-prioritization, that's a different, totally different response
it is,
and
totally different.
connection as
Yeah.
opposed to being
it
selfish because we are not talking about lacking consideration for others.
we're
No,
not.
we're talking about emphasizing consideration for
Listen to
ourselves.
ourselves.
And
Yes,
you're
and it's a big
supposed to
difference.
do that because you cannot be a good mom if you are not putting your needs first, if you're not
Okay.
emphasizing your consideration.
Yes.
Contrary to what people say, like I hear women say, my kids come first. Well, that's why you miserable and your kids probably are too.
It's that's very,
Mhm.
very, very true. Now I will say don't mess with my kids, right? Like don't mess with my kids. Don't mess with my money.
Yes,
Don't mess with my kids. I will definitely say that. But my children I cannot afford to allow them to come first. I
they
cannot
can't come
afford to
before
allow them to
you.
come
And we're not
first.
talking about buying clothes
Right,
before
we're not
people
talking
listen
about
and say
that.
like, "Oh my God, you're gonna
Right.
feed yourself for your kids." That's
Right.
not what
But
we're
like
saying.
I cannot afford like if I got up in the morning, let me just put it this way. When my children and morning is kind of representative of when they were younger, right? When they were little. In a lot of ways it would seem as though my children came first, right? And I was a breastfeeding mom. So but the thing is I couldn't breastfeed if I didn't eat. Couldn't breastfeed if I didn't drink water. I had to take care of myself in order to take
Yes,
care of them. And then
yes.
as they became older, I couldn't feed them with the spoon if I hadn't eaten and I was too shaky to feed them. Because, girl, I'll be forgetting to eat. That is one thing I can say. As a mom, I did often forget to eat, okay? But, like, I couldn't feed them being shaky. I couldn't even think of what to make them being shaky and not having taken care of myself. And when you prioritize other people above you, you are literally allowing yourself to get low blood pressure trying to take care of other people. You're allowing yourself to fall, to be less than trying to take care of others. And it never, ever, ever works. It does not work. And for those mothers out there and those wives out there who think like, oh, it's a thankless job. I'll be goddamn, my bad. I'm sorry. I was trying not to cuss on this. Okay.
It's okay.
But I'll be damned before I say like, no, it's a thankless job. No, thank me, honey. Thank me. That's a good meal. Yes, you're welcome. Okay.
Okay.
Why? Because I took my time. I put my love into that. Like I do good work there. I was just like, no, you should thank me. And they thank me every single night. Every single night because that's the meal I make. I said that, right? Every single night, they're just like, thank you. When we bring groceries home, it's thank you. Why? Because I'm providing a service for you. And at the same and because I'm providing that service,
Mhm.
courtesy. Courtesy is due. And so I can't say that my kids come first. What I can say is that um, I prioritize my healthy living. And they're included in that. Happy, healthy mommy, happy, healthy baby, happy, healthy wife, happy, healthy life. Fine, if that's how it works. But happy, healthy me, happy, healthy me. It's got to be that way, you guys, because, and I say this to my private clients like, listen, do the work of happiness and joy, and everything else will fall in line. This is a universal law. As
Yeah.
above, so below, whatever you want to call it. It is a universal law.
Mhm.
What you sow, that shall you also reap. If you
Yeah.
sow in joy, if you sow in self prioritization, everybody else will be prioritizing themselves too.
There you go. That's the big part.
Yeah,
What are we teaching and conditioning people to see?
yeah. Mm,
And I know you
Mhm.
talk about this and really help your clients with this a lot too, Jackie, just understanding how we condition people
yes.
and how that can leave them vulnerable. Because if we're that codependency, it's something else. So while you're busy making all these sacrifices because you're like, mama's the only one who can do it all. So now your partner doesn't know how to manage it because you do it all. Now your children don't know how to manage because you do it all. And you allow them to be thankless, so they don't even know gratitude or humility.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
are you sending them out in the world to be and to know how to do?
right.
That's hindering their joy.
It
So
is.
now you walking around bitter and irked and tired and joyless, and they're going to repeat the cycle at some
Right.
point because that's what we're modeling, that's what we're teaching. And so that's the other thing of it. When we take care of ourselves, we teach others around us how to take care of themselves. We're setting an expectation here. Like, it's okay for mom to say, I'm taking, y'all are gonna handle dinner tonight. I'm tired. It's okay for mom to say, I made this meal with love and nobody said thank you. I mean, how is it that we would treat somebody, a server or somebody, better than we treat your own mom? Like, I see kids who do not say thank you to their parents, but they'll be more respectful to other people. It's
Right.
like, how do you not give that courtesy to the people who actually prepared something with love for you?
Okay.
What
Because
are we
there are too many
teaching?
that will. Okay, listen, it's real. It's just like you gotta. Joy is not something that is given. Joy is not something that is given. Yes, it can be shared, but it is not given. Joy is something you collect. Joy is something that you go out and get. Joy is something that you prioritize. It's not given. And I know we like to think of it, oh, it's so sweet. We think like the sweetest thing is a gift. No, the sweetest thing is self actualization and standing on your square and being like, I welcome the abundance of the universe into my life. That's what that is. It's not, oh, the sweetest gift, 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 gift. No, the sweetest gift is the gift you give yourself. And that takes the getting and the
And
acceptance.
one of the things that I have incorporated in my signature program is we teach people how to treat us. And part of that is learning how to build your boundaries and um, enforcing them and operating in a way where you can you don't have to give access to everyone just because they come knocking on your door. Because sometimes those people are sent to rob you of your joy, or rob you of your happiness, rob you of who you are. Um, and you have, and I help my clients work through loving themselves to be able to teach others how to treat them. And if they don't meet the expectations, if they can't learn to um, accept them as they are, then helping them provide the tools to have that person, remove themselves from that person's life, or, vice versa. You, just because you come knocking on my door doesn't mean that I have to let you in.
Yeah.
That part.
Or if I was born into your family, I don't have to stay there. I don't have to give you a pass because you're my uncle, you're my aunt, you're my cousin, you're my niece, you're my mom, you're my dad. No. A lot of, I think, finding joy is taking personal
Yes. Oh,
responsibility.
say a word.
And the personal responsibility of what we've been saying: self-preservation, self-prioritization, love for self, and being clear about that and saying, okay, when I'm around this person or if I'm in this situation, I don't feel the same. I'm on guard, I'm anxious, I'm ready to fight just because just because. And I don't have to. I don't have to be in those situations. I don't have to have those people around me. And so, yeah, it may be difficult at first because we're learning a new way of doing something, or we're choosing to do something that's not been seen like everybody else. We talked about luxury earlier. Maybe not everyone in your circle is doing that, but taking that step to say, this is what I choose to have in my life because I want peace, I want to be sane. I want calm. And if these things don't bring that, then they have to go.
That part.
Or I'm going to pick up my stuff and I'm going to go somewhere else. And if I'm on my little island by myself, then that's okay.
I love it.
But
Yes, absolutely.
it's and as I've worked with some of my clients around that, we have a lot of, you start dealing with things of codependency, right? Like we are just like, we don't do certain things because someone can't go with us, or we feel like we have to keep going to the same spot all the time.
With the luxury, you were talking about the difficulty with
Yeah.
embracing luxury, given that a lot of people around us aren't comfortable with it or unfamiliar with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that part of that is like we're in this space now. I think we talked about social media before. Social media can be good and it can be bad. Social media, I think, it has been good in exposing a lot of Black women to the fact that Black women do luxury. That's a whole hashtag. That's a whole
Yeah.
group, and it can be
Mhm.
attainable and affordable. And luxury is not really. It's not even about acquiring
Mm-mm.
things. It's about ease and
Yeah.
flow in your life. The first thing is you have to choose to
Yes.
want that.
Yeah.
You have to choose to want to have flow and ease in your life. And once you choose to have that, then the universe can start opening up to you to show you how to make that attainable in your life. Tanita doesn't like washing dishes. Her husband doesn't like washing dishes. So for flow and ease, here's a housekeeper that can come
Yeah.
in once a week, once a month. And you know what? It's not being bougie.
Yes.
It's not doing what white people
Mm-hmm.
do. It's the choice that you made that
Yes.
said, I want flow and ease in my
Yes.
life. I don't like doing something, so let me find something that will give me the convenience to bring that into my home, make my life more easier so I can do what I really want
Yes.
to do. And so luxury is not about things. It's a choice. It's a lifestyle. And for Black women, we are seen as to be
Yes.
mules. We're seen to just take hardships.
Mm.
And when we step outside of that narrative, that we actually have the audacity to say, I can have flow and ease, and it could look like having a nanny. It can look like having a
Yes.
housekeeper. I'm Case in point, I'm going on a vacation pretty soon, and I scheduled a car
Yes.
service to
Mm.
pick me
Mm-hmm.
up and drop me
Yeah.
off. And my mom was like, "You did that?" She thought I had ordered a shuttle. And I was like, no, Ma, I'm not doing a shuttle. I'm doing a car
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
service. Like the people that stand in baggage claim
Yeah.
with the sign with your name on it. And they take your bags, because one thing I
Mm-hmm.
learned a couple years ago, and I think this kind of ties in. I was going to an event, and it was in Atlantic City, but I had to get the train from Phil and stop in
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia. The organization that I was there on behalf of had ordered a car service for me. So it was an older Black woman. She had been a chauffeur for years. Like she was in hospitality. This is what she did. And I remember her reaching to take my bag. And I said, no, I got it. And she looked at me. She said, I am your chauffeur.
Ugh.
When someone comes to pick you up, you don't touch anything.
Mm.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. So we get out to the car,
Yes.
and I'm about to reach my hand for the handle. And she said, what did I tell you earlier?
Yes.
Okay. Opened my door. I got in. She closed it. And once we got in that car, she gave me an
Yeah.
education. She said, this is a luxury. This is to make your life easier, more easy. The next time you have a chauffeur, allow them to do their job and to make your life easier. She said, don't touch your bag, don't touch the door. And just was giving me a list of things to do. And I didn't know what to say. Cause I was like, I'm so used to just going and
We're not
doing.
used to it.
Right.
And it translated into my own personal dating
Mhm.
life. I know this is not the topic, but like, because we are not accustomed, most of us, a lot of us, are not accustomed to choosing ourselves
Mhm.
first or living in flow and
Mhm.
ease, and to not seem like we're being bougie or high maintenance. Even though we say we want those things, we continue to act in a way that undermines that.
Mm.
We'll go Dutch
That part.
on a date.
Yes.
We don't expect
Yep.
the gentleman or the
Mhm.
gentlewoman to open our
Yep.
door or to, I know it's just habit for me to sit with my facing the door. So when I'm on a date or when I'm in just a presence of a man who is like, why sit on this side?
Mhm.
Sometimes I have to check myself because I'm not used to
Mm.
being in a
Mhm.
position to be in my
Yes.
Yeah.
feminine.
Girl.
And
Ah.
this is all related to joy,
Yes.
because the thing is, and you're getting us to the meat of it. A
You
lot of
are.
it is
Whew.
we undermine our joy because of trauma and conditioning,
Mm.
Mm,
because we can't
mm,
shift our mindset and allow that chauffeur to show up and handle our luggage because we're not accustomed to it. We don't think we deserve it. It feels uncomfortable, and we're used to doing it all ourselves. And
That
so
part.
we're undermining it.
yep.
We can't allow our prospective person who's trying to court us to fully
Mm.
go out and do that. Like we say, a lot of women say, me included, that I want a man who will take charge. But a lot of us, we meet that man who will take charge and he's going to make the
We just
date.
forge
He want to
ahead.
come pick you up. He want to face the door. He want to pull your chair out and all this stuff. He's going to ask you, what would you like? So that he can relay all this to the waiter, because he wants to take care of you. He wants to be of service to you. But that feels kind of
Right.
uncomfortable because it's like, I'm used to doing this myself. And the other thing is fear. We don't
It
want to
is
we're
fear.
scared to get
Mhm.
used to it
It is
because
fear. Ugh.
it's not familiar, and it's like, can I really get comfortable in this when this might not last, because I'm not used to things lasting. I'm not used to this. So it's that.
Yes.
Or we second guess their
Yes.
Hmm.
intentions.
Oh, I second
Like
guess.
we don't trust
I
it.
second guess Steve
We don't
the
trust
whole
it.
way through. I second guessed him like, what? What you mean? I remember. Listen, Steve just wanted to love me. Okay, he just wanted to love me the best way he thought that I should be. And I was just like, I remember the first time, it was like probably within the week after we had met and started hanging out and everything. I was like, oh, I gotta go grocery shopping for the kids, so I'll be right back or whatever, right? I was like, I'll call you later, and he was like, no, I'm gonna meet you there. I was like, okay, what you think I'm going? I mean, you think I'm gonna meet somebody else at the grocery store? He was just like, no, I'm gonna meet you at the grocery store. I was like, okay. And since that day, I have never paid for a grocery or touched a grocery bag. Since that day, he was just like, oh, no, I got that. And I'm not telling you that that's how all good men are. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, the good man is the man who does what he knows he feels is right for himself. Because when I went back and asked him, I was just like, why did you do all this? Because I haven't. Like, my boys will carry groceries in the house. In fact, when nobody is home and it's just me, I'll be like, I walk into the house, I'm like, where are the groceries that I just got? Like, confused, right? Like, I realized ain't nobody else there. But, like, the good person, ladies, is the person that does what they feel is best in the moment that situation occurs. Because we're constantly trying to think of what's best. And sometimes what's best is saying, not you but them, not you but me, not this but that. Gotta find comfortability. Because Charlene, you were absolutely right. Second guessing and fear, all these things. We have such fear-based responses to things that should be natural. Like picking up your bag, being like, well, I don't want to just leave it there. Somebody might steal it, right? When in all actuality, your chauffeur was like,
I don't want them to think I'm lazy. Or
I don't want them to think I'm lazy, okay?
Yep.
Like this catastrophic thinking that we've learned over the years being raised as young Black girls. And it doesn't matter if you were raised in the hood, if you were raised in the burbs, if you were raised in high class area. Usually, as a woman of color, you are raised to do it all.
Yeah.
And so, sitting in this, prioritizing yourself is reconditioning. You're relearning how to be at peace, centered, and live a life of luxury. Because, like you said, okay, neither one of us like to do dishes. We also have a dishwasher. We also have 4 able-bodied children, right? Even though one lives outside the house now because they think they're grown, when they come back, they clean, right? And my thing is, it's just like people are like, how do you teach your kids to clean? Oh, I show them. I know how to clean. But if you're going to use this bathroom, you're going to clean this bathroom. And now I know that my 3 boys, as they get older, they're not going to just expect their women to do this and do that and do this. Because they mama don't do it. I ain't doing all that. Listen, I ain't doing all that. Because it's important that I show up in the best way possible. And the best me possible is one that is comfortable with what they're doing, that is familiar with what they're doing, and has a desire to do it. That's the best me possible. Outside of that, there are Mary Maids. Some of the things Steve likes to do, there are children. There are there are all these different things and avenues, and it's worth it for me to consider that in order to consider myself and in order to consider my children. Because Jackie, you said something earlier. You said a lot of times we're codependent. Mothers are codependent oftentimes on their children.
Oh yeah.
Oh girl, so codependent on their children. And
let me just.
girl,
I got
Being needed can be a drug. The need
yes,
to be needed is a drug.
yes, codependent on their
on
children.
a side note though. I was just talking to one of my girlfriends at breakfast about that this morning. How someone I was dating, very codependent relationship with their mother, and mothers don't sometimes always understand how their codependency on their children set
Not
their
for
children
codependency.
up for future relationships, and it causes that child, particularly male children, to be conflicted where they are wanting to act in a space of being in their masculine, but and wanting to provide that for the woman that they're dating or wanting to marry, but they're having to be that provider for their mother when that is no longer his place to do so.
That was never his place to do so.
Never his place to do so. It's just not. Like my children
Yeah.
are not responsible for my future. Now, it's great to have your kids in your life, and I do respect those cultures that, that are formed that way and raised that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not the type of relationship that all cultures have. That's not the type of relationship, like my male children know how to cook better than my daughter. They just do, right? They're better at it. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine, and they were just like, well, I want my husband to do this, this, and this, and he's just not doing that. And so we can't do this because I said we have to be 50-50. And I was just like, no, you need to be 100-100. I was like, and if one of you doesn't know how to do something and the other one does, why doesn't that person just do it and then the other person can do this?
Hello.
How are you being authentic? Are you requiring authenticity in your relationships, especially with your children? My son was just like, their sister was watching them because Steve and I went away for a weekend. She's the oldest. And he was just like, oh, she made the worst salmon I have ever had. And I was just like, why didn't you just, I've shown you how to make salmon. Why didn't you just make it? He was just like, well, I did, and mine turned out bad too. I was like, okay, now we're getting to the root of it, right? But it's just like, you can't on one side say, I want joy, I want this, I want these types of things in my life. And then with the other hand say, oh, but they don't know how to, I'm going to just reach in and do this. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to inconvenience myself to do this, this, and that. You can't do it. You can't say, I want my children to grow up to be great for their spouses or their partners or whoever they decide, and then not allow them to see and to grow into what partnership actually is. I'm teaching my children to be good citizens of the world, but I'm teaching my children that begins with who they are, who you are. If you want a hot meal every night, cook it. If you want a good breakfast, get up and make that ish, right? If you want nice clothes, work and go get them. If you want this, if you want that, do it for yourself, because there is power in doing for you. There is power in honoring you. There is power. There is life force energy that moves through you when you are doing you.
Mm-hmm.
When you are doing you. And so you can be in a relationship without being just the relationship. I'll say this again. I'm in a relationship with my husband alone. I'm singular. I am a singular entity. And he is a singular entity. And we come together not as two halves, but as two wholes.
Yeah.
Same thing with my children. My children are growing, they're learning, but they are whole entities. They are whole entities. It's like when a cat, we were talking about our cats earlier. When a cat comes into this world, you potty train them, you teach them certain things, and then they know how to clean themselves. They lick themselves. They know where to go for their food and their water. They know how to do these things because they're cats. It's what cats do. And it's specific to even domesticated cats, right? Because they perform differently than cats out in the wild. But you have to honor whatever space you're in. Yeah. And if you're in this situation where you're with your husband and your children, you must honor yourself. You must, ladies, what Jackie is saying is not specific to singular people. What Charlene is saying is not specific to people with cats. This is a formula. You must honor yourself. You must ask, is this a self-honoring choice when you decide to put your kid into soccer? Because it can get really inconvenient. It gets so inconvenient. You know what I mean? And it's just like, oh, there's no one way to do anything in life. If you think, oh, they have to go to soccer because they have to get into a good college, because they have to get a scholarship, because they have to do this, there's no one way to do that. There's just not. We have options. We have abundance available to us. Options are abundance. They're not detriments. They're not spoilification. They're not bougie, like you said. Options are a form of abundance. Take advantage of them. Believe in them. Accept them into your life, because I tell you what, when I started to choose me, I got with somebody who chose themselves, and then we chose to be together. And there's nothing more powerful, more beautiful than choosing whoever, whenever you are, wherever you are. I just love you. Totally writing a blog after this. Okay, listen.
Yes,
So good.
I love it. You were feeling inspired.
I love it.
Yay.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good, Jackie.
And it's okay to ask for help. You know,
Yes.
again, to go to what Jackie was saying earlier, hire someone to help with meal prep, hire the housekeeper, hire someone to handle the lawn.
Okay.
If neither of you want to do it, or you don't have the time to do it, or if it means delegating that to someone else, means that that's more time for you to make love, or
Yes.
spend time with your kids, or
Yes.
spend time with yourself, do it. Do it. It's okay to delegate and get help. When we're talking about luxury, taking luxury vacations may not be what everybody wants or needs. But there are a lot of people who need support in their day to day life, and they
Yes.
haven't given themselves permission to explore it. And
true.
I recognize everything that we're talking about in this conversation, a lot of it, there's an amount of privilege associated with it because not everybody has the same options. So I understand that. But this conversation is focused on those who do have
Yes.
those options and resources. Talk to other women, find out how they're navigating it. You know, be less judgmental of yourself. Everybody needs help and support. A lot of times people aren't telling you about their support team because they're worried you might judge them.
Right.
So it's a lot of it conditioning. Our elders, they don't necessarily always understand it because they didn't have those options and they were dealing with a scarcity mindset. They were in survival mode. Once you shift that mindset, the world can open up for you. But it's hard to do. You need community and sisterhood to do that. And you need culturally competent professionals to help you get there.
That
So you
part.
can get all of that, here. And I think by the time this is released, we'll have the She Confidential community open. So if you haven't looked at our online community, you need to go to SheConfidential.com and look at the information about the online community because there you'll find like-minded women who are in the same situation. They're trying to figure out, how do I overcome scarcity mindsets? How do
Yes.
I overcome this survival mentality? How do I broaden my circle to be around women who also have the resources and the desire to just get more support in life so that we can spend more time on self prioritization so
Right.
that you can show up better for the people you love.
Yes.
So, and you'll also get to spend more time with professionals like Tanita and Jackie. So, before we wrap up, I want the two of you ladies to talk briefly about what you offer in your coaching services, and then include your website and social media info so people know where to find you.
Fair enough. Jackie, you want to go first? All right.
Sure. So I am visionary and founder of Mirrored Vision Coaching, where I help high achieving professional women who feel blocked centrally. I help them to reclaim their self identity, to love and embrace their bodies, and to ultimately manifest the relationships that you desire. And so I do that through one on one coaching, also group programs. But I love working, we were talking about this earlier, working one on one with women, because so many times we work around thinking we're the only ones that feel a certain way. And so while there's a benefit with working with a group, working one on one, you can really be vulnerable and you can really be in a space of having someone holding space for you who is not going to judge you, who's not going to tell your story for you, but is holding that space for you um, to be honest, to be authentic, to dream big, and to not be afraid to choose you.
Yes.
And so I talk about, I am a sexuality coach. And while I do help women who feel blocked sensually, it's really about unblocking your full potential for life. because your sensuality, how you show up in the world, is that light that shines through you. And so we work through not hiding that. We work through not dimming that light, but we work on bringing that light out and forward and moving in that, in your divine feminine essence. So I am on Instagram and Facebook, Mirror Vision Coaching. I'm probably going to head over to LinkedIn too. So you'll find me there. And my website is www.mirroredvisioncoaching.com.
Love it. Love it. And I highly recommend her. She is just so juicy in goodness. She is just straight goodness. Okay. Just straight goodness. Ladies, like, get after it. Okay. My name is Tanita Daniel-Chavis. I am the owner and operator of When Home Feels Like Magic. It is a self-actualization service and store. We also have a shop where we sell candles and bath salts, and we're adding a few other things in there. But ultimately, there are classes provided. There's mentorship. There is even like a spiritual school that I have on there, which I often don't advertise a lot, but I do have a school of sacred craft on there. We also have a lot of classes coming up for the fall as we go into winter, because I like to think of that as a seasonal time of planning and preparation, and easier to do it like on Zoom and different platforms like this Riverside platform, just so that we can have kind of we feel like we're in a personal group setting. I also I'm on Facebook. I have a group called When Home Feels Like Magic. You can go ahead and send an invitation, and I'll send you an invitation or whatever. You can get after me. I am also on Instagram, Earth Goddess Kana. I think that's my Instagram. That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I should really learn that. Anywho, but I mainly operate off of Facebook right now. My website is going through an upgrade, but like I said, we still have oils on there, and hoodoo oils and magical oils, and just things on there that will get you into that space of loving yourself. I think I recently got an order from Jackie, and I love blessing Jackie. Okay, yes, honey. That's the candle. That's the Lionsgate candle. But
I'm a fan.
I do love that candle. I was burning one the other day. But I'm all about promoting self-love and helping your home, whether it is a singular home or one with multiple people, multiple animals, whatever, feel like magic, because we all deserve to feel the magic, love, and joy within us. And so my website is www.whenhomefeelslikemagic with a K, magick.com. Feel free to visit. I am constantly uploading new products on there. And yeah, that's all.
Thank you. And all of those links will be in the description box and on the episode page for SheConfidential.com. So please visit both of these ladies. They're both phenomenal, and just, you will not be disappointed. The candles are amazing. I have some candles. They are amazing. You will not be disappointed.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Check them out. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, I appreciate you, and you have blessed the audience with your energy and your insights. You know, the work towards achieving joy, achieving and maintaining joy requires a lot of inner work. And as we've talked about, it's related to personal accountability, setting boundaries, shifting mindsets, and just vulnerability, honesty, communicating. It's kind of complicated. And so it really helps to be with other like-minded women and to do that one-on-one work, like what Jackie mentioned, so that you can have a coach to walk you through it, because you're not the first woman to go through it. You won't be the last. You're not the only one currently going through it. Don't feel like you got to deal with it on your own. Invest in you so that you can be your best for the others. So thank you for watching, listening. I've been chatting with Miss Tanita and Jackie. I'm Charlene Ketchum. Until next time.